of cool stuff that's come out. A lot of I can't wait for my time to flame just for some stuff that happened on the Twitterverse. And I know that there's a lot of awesome game topics that we want to talk about. So, yeah, who wants to kick it off this week, man? Who wants to kind of to go full blown?
Full blown.
Yeah.
Full frontal.
Full frontal. All full frontal.
All full frontal. We're not doing DP or anything like that.
No DPs, no Eiffel Towers here. Just all full frontal male on male action.
Gingerly touching tips.
Exactly. Yep. Sword fighting.
I mean, Scruff, what have you been up to all week, man?
I've been really hitting the Escape from Tarkov pretty hard, honestly. Sin really cursed me getting me into that.
How's that my fault? I don't understand. How is
You're
that
the one
my fault?
Preaching that I gotta play with you, and then now you go play Wolcen.
Okay.
Now you're on Wolcen.
Well, I'm sorry. First off, I bought you Wolcen, so you can suck a fat one.
I didn't ask for it.
It doesn't matter. No, neither did my wife, but look where that ended up. So two kids later. So
yep.
Yeah, so Tarkov, right? Any new things in Tarkov? And obviously, also let's not forget, Bill is not accustomed to Tarkov. Bill is a Tarkovian. He just is on a
I'm a spectator of Tarkov.
I'm legitimately like the guy in the corner when it comes to Tarkov, because I couldn't give zero shits about Tarkov, but everybody else in the entire fucking world is like, Tarkov!
You're a little hatchling, little baby Enigma hatchling.
Yeah. But honestly, right now, I think there's actually been going on with some like hackers like popping up. I know hackers are always there, but like right now there's like kind of a thing going on where there's more of an influx of them, and I don't know, they're not really seeming like they're cracking down on it, actually, because there's no like sort of report system in that game.
Bro, it's a Russian dev. Like, what are you talking about?
There's nothing to call the hackers out or anything, so I'm not sure what they're gonna do about that.
They probably have
some ban wipes or something.
They probably have stake shares in the fucking company that made that.
Right. Yeah. Well,
what exactly is the hack that's going on? Is it like aimbotting, or is it
aimbotting?
Hacks?
I've seen this one where this dude literally like he aimbots, kills people like left and right, and he doesn't even have to like loot their body. It's called like loot teleporting or something.
Wow.
And he pretty much just
steals their inventory,
and their inventory just like teleports in front of him, and it's all like highlighted. He just picks up what he wants, and he just goes on with his day.
That is crazy.
There's some crazy hacks out there right now.
I imagine that they'll break down on that pretty hard, because I mean
they got to.
They really do. Yeah, it's not really helping the game right now. And seriously, with all the new players coming into the game, it's not a good look.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know that right now they're actually doing a 25% off sale, or 20% off sale right now, through I think the 23rd. So anybody that is wanting to get into Tarkov, this is a really great time to do it. Just as far as the price point goes. And obviously they offer several different tiers, but I don't know, Tarkov to me has been pretty or Battle State, I think they've been pretty adamant about stopping people that are hacking and cheating, because unlike in other games, like Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever else, like, though it's
nothing earned can be taken from you.
Right. You're not really like, you lost the match. Okay. Hit reset and go. Right. Whereas in Tarkov, like there's a huge amount of issue. I know that they had a big problem with duping. When this was maybe like 9 or 10 months ago, that they had a real big issue where you could go in and basically take someone's loot, and take the loot, and as you did it, if you exited out of the screen, it would basically register that you picked it up, but also stay registered on the body. So you would be able to basically just kind of sit there and duplicate items over and over again. And they fixed that within like a matter of like a week. So, I mean, if there is something that is pretty rampant out there, I'm pretty sure they'll end up finding a way to fix it. And also too, like one of the things that I know that they were talking about doing was ramping up AI, like just in general, to making where scavs are a little bit more dangerous than what they are.
Yeah, they've already kind of ramped it up since like the start of the game. I can definitely tell.
How dangerous are we talking here? Are we talking like boss and guards level, like dangerous for all scavs, or
no?
Like,
I mean,
because there's such a big difference between your standard like regular scav and then any of the like the high profile guards or the scav bosses or anything?
Let me get this straight. So you're saying that they're taking the AI and they're making it even more hacky in that game. Can't they like fucking pinpoint you out of like nowhere
No.
in that game, or is it?
No.
Or am I thinking about Rainbow Six?
Well, the only problem I have with like some scavs and how they act right now is like bushes and foliage.
Yeah.
Because
they ignore it.
They do ignore it, so it makes you.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
There.
That's what I'm talking about. Is it like even through like bushes and trees? I've been watching you guys play, and it's like they can pinpoint you through that shit without a
through
problem.
that stuff. Yeah,
like
they
no issues.
Definitely can.
Well, yeah, so I mean, here's.
And I think the only one you have to really worry about is the snipers, as far as like cross mapping you, right?
Well, so okay, a couple of things, right? So one, their AI is not that great when you're looking at just like a lot of their movements and the way that they do things or patrol. Like I've literally shot somebody and like the scav will turn around, and if you go and hide behind a box or something like that, like the other scavs will just kind of like ambulously walk around, like not knowing where you're at, when it's pretty clear like where you were. And it's like a hit or miss on whether or not you're going to get one that's like an Einstein level IQ, or if I'm dealing with Jimmy that's, you know, eating cat shit out of the, you know, sandbox. So it's like it really does range. So they're trying to like, I think, even that out to make it to where the scavs are still a threat, but also like they're not as, you know, good as a real PMC. The other side of it too is like ignoring foliage and bushes. I get to a point because obviously, like if you're thinking about it yourself, you're in a war zone. If I watch someone go and crouch down in a bush, right, and I'm watching that bush, I'm obviously gonna know they're in that bush, right? Like I'm gonna shoot in that bush. That's where they're at. Like, so I don't necessarily have an issue unless what you're saying is that they're able to like not even see you go in the bush and they're still knowing that you're there. Is that what's happening?
Yeah. Well, one specific instance that happened to me, I was playing on woods or whatever, and you know, I had a pretty decent kit, like, you know, good armor, good gun, and just all of a sudden I hear a scav to my left, and he's like 2 or 3 bushes like behind in a bush somewhere. I don't see him at all. I have no idea. So I do start sprinting into that bush, trying to get him and then try to take cover, but he just one-shots me and I'm dead. And it could just be blatant luck, but feel like at that point, like there needs to be something. I don't even know what you could do though, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you need to, like I said, I think there does need to be some AI tweaking. Mainly because like I think that once you start to tweak the scavs to where it's not overly done, but I think where it's done to a point where players that go in that are still geared, that is still a danger to them, right? Because I mean, realistically, like the thing is like, and we faced it when we went to interchange. If you have someone that's got a thermal and they're sitting up on a place that's like way, you know, in the middle of the loading dock, and we're trying to extract and we're 300 meters away, right? And we just get one tapped because they've got thermals. Well, you know, if there is a situation where the scavs are smarter, they are more aware of what's going on, because honestly, like if you shoot, even if there's a scav around, they're not gonna like all of a sudden go to patrol that area. Like they're gonna kind of be like, oh, okay, this is what's going on, and then like kind of patrol it, but they're not like actually actively going to that area where it's at. You know what I mean? So
yeah, they definitely do need some sort of like tweaking to fix that.
Right. So I mean,
I feel like you get to a point with AI though where it becomes a frustration more than it is like. I understand they're wanting to make the environment more challenging for players and to actually like make it a more difficult experience, even for kitted. They don't want people just walking through scavs left and right. It's a similar thing like what they did with Hunt Showdown, where they can't get the monsters and stuff balanced to actually be a threat to players. So the high skill or high looted players are just gonna walk through everything.
The biggest issue that you're going to run into is like, do you make your AI overly hypersensitive, or do you make them stupid on the point of like you're saying, like it's ridiculous how dumb they are? Because like there's games like Rainbow Six Vegas. I don't know if you guys ever played that, like the original Vegas. The AI in that game was insanely difficult sometimes. Like they would like
RoboCop
literally
level?
like RoboCop level, like almost to the point like they had ESP and were hacking, and you're like, really? Like you could see me from that far away?
I remember the kill AI was really, really good too.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind.
It's like, well, it's like from what I can tell is in Tarkov though, it's either 0 or 100. There's no in between.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like they found no happy medium for them whatsoever.
I don't mind honestly the scavs being more aggressive, more intelligent, more of a threat, because honestly, if I go in as a PMC, I'm not really worried too much about scavs unless it's one that's like got a sniper or even like a shotgun one for the most part. Like when you're, let's just say, like the most commonly played map on Tarkov is customs. And one of the most commonly areas you go to is either going to be Big Red, which is a warehouse out by like where there's a bunch of trailer, like storage units. And then you go over to the bridge into dorms. Those are literally the two most like populated areas. And so when you go there, like even at Big Red, and it's still, if I'm a PMC, I don't feel that much concern. Like I'm like, cool, I'm gonna run in, I'm gonna go in, get my stuff, and even if I do get a scav that sees me or something like that, for the most part, I can pop them down. You know what I mean? Like there's not really a threat there, because you also know like the tactics that they're gonna take, and they're gonna move around left or right. Like, you know, I can say like, cool, like I can pop a shot on my left hand side, you know, whatever, and that. So I do think that making them more intelligent, more aware, more aggressive would go and actually mean something to the players, and it would kind of elevate that risk, you know, and whatnot. Because again, scavs are scavs. Like, you know, you may get a scav where you get amazing armor and you get an AK with no butt plate and no dust cover, and your shot is going to go 50 meters to the right. So, you know, it's one of those kind of things where it doesn't really, you know, it's still not a fair fight. But if they are at least intelligent enough to, one, work together is what I would really like them to see. Like I would love to see like scavs actually working as a unit, in a way of being able to like try to flank and stuff like that. Like versus
that would be neat.
Just
like making call outs and
stuff. Like,
well,
if that'd be cool.
Well, that, and even like I know that whenever they do the what is it called, the raiders, like raiders are more aggressive scavs, and they're more kitted scavs, and they actually do some maneuvers. But like there's only 1 or 2 maps that raiders are on. The rest of them is just like you're just getting Joe Blow scav. So, and there's a lot that goes into Tarkov. I mean, the you know, because you can literally, and that's what I love about the game, because like you said, Scruffy, you got one shot, but that scav could have had, you know, the M91 or 7N, you know, bullets or whatever else that will penetrate any kind of armor, you know, in 2 or 3 shots at the most, you know. So, I mean, that's the thing about Tarkov that makes it such this Tetris match, right? It just makes this chess game of, you know, what do I go in with? What do I do? Right? Even if I have the most kitted shit in the world, I'm still going to get taken out by 1 shot.
Yeah, you're not invincible whatsoever.
No. So,
question I got for you guys is, I was watching a few of my other friends play it, and they seem to be saying that the economy is kind of wonky right now. I don't know exactly what that means as far as how this game's economy and stuff works, but from what I understand, you can pretty well go and get a full buy fairly easily in this game with how many things are circulating, like the black market shops and everything. Is that true?
I don't.
A full buy, like a full kit?
Yeah.
I mean,
I heard the black market's like really, really like lucrative and easy to like get stuff that you're needing.
It kind of is with like gear, like you can buy like, you know, armor, guns and stuff. You can get a pretty decent kit for probably under 300k, and it's not really too hard to get 300k if you know what you're doing.
What are we talking about now? Are we talking decent kit as in like a gun, or are you talking about like a gun armor, a decent kit?
Bro, it doesn't have to be much.
There's no way for 300k you're going to be able to go in with
decent. I'm not saying anything crazy. Literally, a decent kit can be just a hunter, which takes M80 rounds, or M61 or M62, which are some of the best rounds in the game for 7.62. You can one-shot somebody easily with that gun. That gun is 30k maximum. And then you don't even really need too much armor. I mean, to be honest, you can just go in without a helmet, pick up somebody's helmet real fast, and
right, but that's not going in fully kitted. That's not going in with a kit.
Like, I know. I just said just a decent kit just to get you something.
Well, I mean, I could go in with a pistol and do that.
Oh,
I mean,
sure. I mean, you really could, but it depends.
So
on the situation.
The question wasn't really about the kits themselves. It was just about the in-game economy itself. That it was more broken than anything at this point from people just going in, getting those easy pistol or hatchet runs, and then just selling everything off.
I mean, I think
there's just too much stuff circulating on the market to make it.
I don't think so.
Really, that big of a risk to go in with high value gear because you can just buy it back easily.
I think that the biggest thing is that they have they've made it viable. Like the biggest problem I saw was that they dumped 1 million credits into the pool. Like they dumped 1 million rubles to everybody on the game in like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and it gave everybody 1 million rubles, right? So what that caused in my mind was this fluctuation of like over buying and overdoing items, so it dropped the price of everything like through the floor, which is a natural economy thing. I mean, if you dump a bunch of money into the economy, like things are going to go up, but also your pricing is going to go down because there's just money circulating now.
So it's not as much of players or the hatchet runs or anything like that. It's more them just overinflating the amount of money in the economy at that point.
That, I mean, I think that the other side of it is that you've got situations where certain item, like they did crack down very hard on bots buying stuff out, because people were going on there and like, even if they priced it, like it would just instantly be gone. So now it actually does take time to actually sell some shit. Like you can still price it pretty well. But what I've seen now because of that is the fluctuation of the economy is so kind of up and down, because it's like you want to lowball, but then like all that does is continuously lowball the price of something or whatever else. Or, you know, where like before, I think like a key card was going for like 250K. I think now it's, I mean, I haven't checked in like 2.5 weeks, but I mean, what is it at now? Is it still pretty high, Scruff, or no?
Yeah, it's still pretty high. I don't know exactly off the top of my head. It was probably sitting around 160-ish.
But also too, I mean, I think that's like, it's just the natural part of the game. I think that I don't think that the economy is jacked. I actually like the way that they do the economy in this.
The cool thing is that whether something can be really high on the flea market, if you have enough levels with some of the traders, it's probably likely cheaper, because the people who don't have those high levels with some of the traders to buy some of that stuff, or I mean, the people who do have those levels will likely be able to get it from the trader or something, and you know they can kind of control the market a little bit. Like they could sell it for higher for the people who don't have those levels to actually be able to buy it for some of the traders.
And right. One of the things that I actually thought was really cool about this, and I actually was talking to somebody last week about it, was he plays Tarkov literally just to play the economy. That's the only thing that he does. He doesn't even play the game. Like he literally does not play the game whatsoever. He eaves the shit out of it. So he just goes in and buys and trades and sells off of the marketplace, which I think is awesome. I think any game that allows you to meta something like that and to be able to basically find a way to play a game inside of a game is you know, it's brilliant. It's a really smart way. So I kind of hope that they don't fuck with the economy too much of it. And I think that they've actually, out of most games I've played, I think this has probably got the best economy system that's out there. Because they put enough.
I agree.
They put enough need and want behind high-end items. The loot, when you find one, you're like, oh fuck, I got this item, you know, because you could literally go into a run, find one item and be like, I'm done, I'm out. Like we've done it before. We found a GPU and we're like, we're out. Like, you know, legit. Like it's time to go.
It's game changing what you can find sometimes.
I think that they've done a very good job with that. I mean, that's my opinion.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, Bill, what have you been up to? What have you been playing?
So I've been hot and heavy into Slay the Spire as of recently, and also Rainbow Six Siege. There's been a lot of cool stuff that's going on and like coming up in Siege that I've been trying to get the rust off so I can be ready for. They just had the season invitational a few weeks ago. Space Station Gaming won, so we had a North America team win the season invitational, so that's pretty cool. Season 5's coming out. They've got the new operators and stuff live on the test server.
Those guys look ridiculous.
That stuff looks crazy. I'm really, really excited. For any of you guys that don't follow Siege News or anything like that, the new Defender coming out basically has like a turbo dash that he can like go through walls, go through barricades with.
He can even jump up hatches too. I see.
And he can jump up hatches. Yeah,
it's nuts.
So
and then the new attacker,
the Kool-Aid man with a gun.
Yeah, Kool-Aid man with a gun. Basically, he takes 10 damage if he goes through a soft wall, but anything else, it's just free.
That's cool because like I definitely think they do need a little bit more verticality in that game.
They're trying to add it. I think they were wanting to do that with Amaru, the chick with the zip line, but they've limited her so much that she's not exactly viable. Plus, that kind of a gadget's not great on attack anyway.
Like, there's not as many places as I thought there would be for Amaru to really utilize her equipment.
So, but I think with a defender that has the ability, and he's got 2 shotguns. He's got a shotgun primary and a shotgun secondary, so he's always able to open the hatches if he needs to jump up a floor.
Is that the same one that Mosey has as a secondary? I can't remember the name.
No, he's got the judge, the bailiff revolver shotgun.
Oh, that one's good. Yeah.
Do you think that like a concern that they're moving kind of away from the realism side of things, which I get? I mean, honestly, I obviously understand it's not like super realistic.
I feel like that's I personally don't have a concern with it. I know some people did whenever they first started doing stuff, and that brings me into the new attacker. She literally makes a clone of herself that she can move around the map as if it's herself. She can't shoot with it or anything, but it moves just like her. It makes noise just like her. It only has 1 HP, so if anybody shoots it or she walks over like electric wire or something, it fries it, and it's on a recharge system, so she's able to get multiple of those clones throughout a match. It basically is a walking drone that's able to like psych out other players and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, they're definitely getting more sci-fi with it, but I feel like if you hold a game into a realistic, like a super realistic set category, there's only so many ideas. It's inevitable that they are going to go into a more sci-fi route. They have a drone that goes invisible and shoots out a sonic blast. So
yeah, I feel like they're pretty far from a realism kind of nature of that game now.
They don't want to take it like too far with like magic or like mech suits or anything like that, but they're trying to keep it like grounded in near future, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of the issue that fucking Division ran into, right? They tried to go too ultra realistic with the guns and the armor and shit, but there's only so far that you can go with guns and armor in a super realistic setting, right? There's only so many variations.
Too.
Yeah, well, that too, but there's only so many variations of like an M16 or an M4 or there's only so many variations that you can have before you're just like, okay, I have the same fucking weapon. It's just this one does more damage.
Well, I think my thing is that it's not like what it seems like they've been doing is the more. And again, look, I'm not a Rainbow Six person. Like my Rainbow Six days stopped with Rainbow Six Vegas, and really was Rainbow Six 3 Black Arrow. Like I loved that game, but it just seems that they're slowly but surely moving into things that are the maps themselves aren't necessarily, like the older maps are not necessarily built for, which I think comes down to like, how do you balance this? How do you make this?
That is something they actually addressed at the season invitational. So this season they are going to be moving into a new roadmap for how they're pushing out the game. For the first 4 seasons that they've had, they've always done 2 operators per season. 4 seasons per year, all that stuff. Maybe a map rework somewhere in there. They used to put out new maps every season. They've slowed that down. With this new season coming up, the first 2 years, with this new year coming out, the first 2 seasons are going to be the same. They're going to put out 2 operators, both of those, and they're going to do a map rework on each of those seasons. And then after that, they're going to limit it down to 1 new operator per season, and that's going to be moving forward. No more 2 operator seasons after year 5 season 2, and then they're going to be just working on operator reworks. So they're going to go back and balance the new maps and rework the new maps so that they are able to handle what the new kits are being thrown at them and stuff like that, make them more competitive. instead of overinflating the game with subpar maps, they're just going to be going back and changing those old maps, maybe from the ground up, changing them all together. But they're trying to make things more balanced with what the kits are available now.
Well, and I think that that's one of the things that I think what makes League and like Dota such a staple and so forever like long is like their lifespan is because it's one map, right? The one thing that changes in that game is the characters that are there. And I think that you look at something like Rainbow Six where, it does have a competitive scene. But it's like the additions of all of these, like this guy that be able to move through walls and to be able to like, move up into, I guess vents or hatches or things like that. Like it, yes, that's great that it now makes a defender have to change the way that he thinks, right? Or an offense because he's a defender. So it changes the way the attacker has to think about it. But at the same time, it's like, is it a situation where you have something that's completely overpowered, completely broken, and it doesn't really fit the mindset of how to play this game? I don't know. I mean, again, my extension knowledge of Rainbow is I'm behind a wall that I don't know if it can get shot or not get shot, and I'm dead before I can even blink because a bullet hit me, somewhere. So, it's very Tarkov in a way, but at the same time, like at least I feel in Tarkov, I'm like, motherfucker. Okay, well, I deserve that death. So.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I think that's fine. With a few seasons ago, they released the operator Mira, who has a one-way bulletproof mirror that you can put on a wall and just look through reinforced walls. And a lot of people at the time thought that was game-breaking. And then as that operator got played, as people started to learn, they learned how to work with and against that operator. And I think this is going to be kind of the same thing. For the entire lifespan of Siege, you've never had an operator that has been able to jump up through hatches like that. So you've always been like, okay, we clear the top floor out. We've moved down. We've got one person on each of the staircases because most maps have two ways of traversing the floors, and that's it. So they're like, okay, we've got both the staircases, so nobody's going to be sneaking up those staircases. Well, this guy's going to kind of throw a gear into that, and I think people are just going to have to work around it. Plus, if you drone properly, you'll know what you're working with, so you kind of expect, okay, well, we have these staircases going, but Oryx is still alive, so he could theoretically hop upstairs and then flank us from behind on one of those stairs.
Yeah. I mean,
it's neat. It adds another demographic to the game, and I think it adds... They're not afraid to add layer upon layer of complexity. Like you said, with the operators and maps, that's enough complexity as is, but then adding more like nuances to it like that, I think keeps the game evolving, keeps the game fresh.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're willing to rework, I think the old maps and rework content, like that's the biggest thing that I think would keep them back from being successful, is that newer things, newer operators will break old maps because they're just not built for those maps. You know what I mean?
And I mean, they have shown too. They have reworked a few old maps like canals, and there was another house one they reworked.
Hereford base they reworked.
Yeah, so they've actually done pretty well with the reworks, in my opinion, too. I've always kind of liked them. They weren't straying too far from the original idea of the map, but they've kind of allowed it to work better with the new operators at the time that have came out.
Yeah.
And the way they've got the queues set up is if they don't feel like a map is competitive or if there is broken aspects, they don't put it into the ranked queue. Those maps just aren't available to be played on ranked. And with this new season, they're adding map bans. So they'll throw up 3 maps, and then the attacking team chooses one map to ban out. The defending team chooses one map to ban out, and then that leaves one map that you're going into. So if you know that you're garbage at this map, you can be like, hey guys, I don't know this map at all. Let's ban that out. I'm really good on Fortress. Let's play that one.
Yeah. Well, cool. I mean, best to them. I hope that they do. They continue to have success, and they've seen success. So obviously they have, the community loves it. So good for them for sure.
Yeah. The biggest thing I think is worrying about them is a lot of the people with the way that they're going with the new content and stuff is they're going to monetary with a lot of the stuff, the season pass, the battle pass, that kind of thing. And with them cutting down the amount of operators, a lot of people are afraid that they're going to be getting less content for the same amount of money. So that's the biggest concern in that game right now. I think the game itself is fine, but I think Ubisoft being Ubisoft and over monetizing things is the only thing that could potentially slow them down at this point.
They might need to find a way to reward, the players a bit more for what they get. If they do cut down, the operators and such, they might need to give out some, I don't know, some freebies with the season pass or whatnot, maybe to kind of help level it out.
I agree.
Well, I was going to ask Enigma what he's been playing, but I know what he's been playing because I have been playing the same. And so, we'll move into that as there's quite a bit of topic, I think, there to munch on.
Here we go.
Yeah. So, myself and Enigma and now Scruffy have been playing Wolcen or Wolcen, however you want to pronounce it, but I think the proper term or proper saying for it is Wolcen. And if you're not
Wilson,
Wilson,
like the volleyball.
Yeah, that's the meme that's going around. Wilson, yes. But if you're unfamiliar with what this game is, it's a game that's been in development for 5 years, right, Enigma? I think 5 to 6.
Yeah, like 5 to 6.
Yep, 5 to 6
somewhere
years.
around there.
It's an action RPG, top-down isometric, Diablo-style game, right? And it's in its 5 to 6 year time frame has gone through numerous changes. I mean, I think it went on sale originally for early access, I think 3 years ago, right?
3 years ago. Yeah, I picked it up in. Yeah, it would have been about 3 years ago, maybe 2, if I remember correctly.
And at that time, whenever we picked it up and originally started playing it, completely different than what it is now. You were able to rotate the camera around, like the game didn't look like how it looks. The skills the Gates of Fate was still there. It wasn't called a Gates of Fate. Their skill tree system was completely different. All of that.
Well, at the time that we bought it, they only had like two or three.
You had missions,
trees.
but yeah, and you only had I think you had one or two missions, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you this back history because there's
sounds like it was very bare bones at the time. Then
it was.
Well, and you also got to remember too is that even at the time that me and you picked it up, it had already gone through a huge change to begin with. It had originally started as a different game. I can't remember the name of it, but it originally started as like an RPG rather than ARPG.
Right. And
then they went down the RPG route. They renamed it Wolcen. And then it went down the new route that is the current iteration of Wolcen, or a portion of what Wolcen was supposed to be, taking it down more of that, not Warcraft, Diablo-esque, ARPG route.
Right.
So,
yeah. So the reason I go through this long explanation of what this game is and the long history of what the game is because there's a lengthy conversation to be had at the end of this. About the state of games that kind of encompass delays, early access, and really kind of a large topic of what the content of the show is going to be about. So
we talked about it a little bit last week too. So it's like, not last week, but the last podcast we had kind of, it's not something that we've been just barely picked up. It's definitely something we've had history with, and
right.
Like last week, I said it straight off the bat with the fact that I didn't think that it was ready for release, and obviously that's where we're moving into with this. So
yeah, I mean, the game now to speed this up, right? The game now has it was in early access, and for the most part of what the game actually is now was playable for the last roughly about a year. Really from that 3 year mark up, like they'd been progressing really well, but then like the last 1 to 2 years, you started to see the multiplayer aspect come into play, the roadmap, their skill systems, all of this, right? So that started to come into play. What are you wowing about?
I just looked at the concurrent players. They went from 300 to 18,000.
Yeah, they dropped out pretty hard.
No, 300 players to 18,000 players.
300 average players to 19,000 average players.
No, it's they definitely had a very successful, like what they did with getting it out to content creators and then influencers and all that other whatever the fuck else you want to call people that play video games for a living, essentially.
You mean the ones that play a game for a week and then forget that it even exists?
Yeah, pretty much. They did.
I think this is the greatest game ever. I cannot wait to sink 5 hours into this and then shit can it and go back to Fortnite.
I think there's a term for that. I think it's called douchebags. But I'm not. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Douche bag, maybe. I don't know. There's an E in there. It's weird. Yeah. So and this is where I had my problem, right? So the game launched, and Enigma and I are kind of on two separate sides of the aisle on this one in a way, and a little bit. Like, I think they had to launch. I think that they could have waited. They could have, they could have like continued to push it out. But I think with Torchlight 3, PoE 2, you've got Diablo 4, which is coming out when we're on Mars. You've got, I mean, there's a lot of things.
Diablo Mobile,
right? Yeah. There's a lot of things that are happening in the action RPG space, and the inevitable Lost Dawn or Lost Ark coming over here, like it needed to get.
We still don't have any word on any of that stuff. Like
right.
I think that Torchlight 3 is still like almost a year away.
No, Torchlight 3 will be out this year.
Is it?
Yeah, they announced that it'll be out this year.
Okay. Well, either way. Like I don't know.
Yes,
like you said, we're on two different sides of the spectrum, right? Like,
so let me ask you this, because I don't think that it was a problem for them going full blown launch, and I'll explain my side, and then I'll hear Enigma's side, right? So the thing about why I don't have an issue with it is that I'm okay with them saying, hey, we're getting content out here, we're getting stuff out there, or whatever else, and then we're going to work on the quality of life things after it releases. This is not a AAA game. This is not a massive game from companies like EA or Bethesda or whatever else, where I don't allow them to I don't give them slack. When you're talking about a 500, 600, 800 man studio, huge company that's got resources to put into this, to a 10-man team that, yes, it's taken 5 years, but it's a 10-man team, like, launch the game, like, get it out there, get it out to the masses, and get names behind it. And obviously it worked. That went from 300 players to 18,000. Yes, the servers were busted. Yes, they couldn't handle it, and people went fucking crazy. People went onto Twitter and absolutely destroyed them. And I feel bad for them because, and I posted one comment that was just like, basically that said, fuck all these people that are out here talking a bunch of shit. They don't understand what it is to launch a game, and they weren't here pre-launch, and now they're here launch, and they're talking garbage because the servers can't hold it. Well, you know what? Give me a game in the last 10 years that has launched and the servers have been good. Like, I'll wait. Like, we crashed at Call of Duty. We crashed in Fortnite. I don't even know if Fortnite is a fucking real game anymore.
Remnant.
Like, or whatever else. Remnant was, had horrible issues. Battlefront was a dumpster fire. Division 2 I couldn't even play. Destiny 2 I couldn't play without any kind of audio issues.
Remnant wasn't that bad.
I was about to say I was putting Remnant onto a good list.
Yeah, Remnant was good.
Remnant had,
as far as server issues go,
connection.
Server, yeah.
No, Remnant had connection server issues. I had connection server issues with Remnant.
The first day I played, I mean, I know that's like only my perspective, and sure, other people probably had server issues and stuff, but so for me and a couple other people, I mean, me and Ender played that all night the first night, and it was flawless.
Well, I think that goes into a point that Enigma and I talked about a little bit, was because your experience, right? Because I'm seeing it doesn't mean it's broken, and because you don't see it's busted doesn't mean it's not busted.
I understand that, but from what I've read and stuff, I mean, I can't say that, that's a lie, but from other people, I didn't see too many other.
I don't remember having any issues with Remnant either, but that could have just been our luck. Like I said, it could have just been the lucky coin toss,
Yeah.
But the point is still valid. It is correct. Yes, there's show me a fucking game in recent history that's not had any issues when it comes to like releasing. Right, I agree with you on that point. I really do. I agree completely with you on that point.
It's a hard thing to get right.
I'll give you that for sure. Like I said in my post to you on Twitter, was like, I understand the issues with the server, them not being able to necessarily predict that they were going to have that much success with their stuff that they put out to content creators and such, But my point was like, they had that information straight off the bat. Like they might not have had all of that information, but they had a good inkling of what they were going to be getting themselves into, right? Straight off the bat, they knew through Steam wish lists, through.
I mean, did they though?
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
I don't know
for sure, but I'm sure they had a very good idea of at least a projection of what they were going to hit.
There's no way you go from 300 to 18,000 and expect that is what's going to happen. Like, I can't. I don't know, man. I disagree. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt.
No, that was the end of the point. I personally feel they had a decently good projection of what they were going to hit, and I don't think that they had a projection of they were going to hit 300,000, right? Obviously, I don't think that I'm not delusional enough to think that they were like, yeah, we're going to have like 500,000 people playing our fucking game. No, I didn't think that, but they knew they were going to have a significant fucking increase in player base, and they ignored that.
I don't think they ignored it, dude. I think that I think any game development company goes into a thing where, especially early access, right? Where it's not pre-orders, it's nothing like that. And even then, like, you still can't gauge it to go, okay, cool. This is how many we've sold. I'm going to expect double that, right? I'm going to expect double whatever I've sold in a certain amount of time frame. And that's my server capacity.
So you're telling me that if it was you that was doing this game release, right, and you went to somebody like Co Carnage, who has how much on a daily basis, like 30,000 people watching him on a daily basis, right?
I mean, you're inflated.
And you paid him a certain, whatever it is. Okay, he's got a certain amount of people that watches him on a daily basis, and you paid him this much money. You're not going to at least say, okay, if we get even half of that, we're good.
No. I don't because again, I think that you're talking about a team that is small. It's an indie dev that they're going to look and say, okay, this is how many players we've sold through. This is how many players, or whatever else, and how many copies. I don't think that they handed out a bunch of copies or paid a bunch of content creators to stream this game.
They had a ton of content creators streaming this game.
I don't think that they paid them. Like, I don't think that, and maybe they have. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I was not watching launch day. Like, I don't know if it's sponsored.
There was a ton of content creators that had sponsored in their tags.
Okay, then maybe. I mean, but sponsored could have been giving them the game, right? I mean, giving them a copy of the game.
Well, again, even just giving them the game, you have data on their viewership. You wouldn't take at least a small inkling of that and be like, okay, even if we get 20% of their viewership, that's going to be this many people.
No,
it's basic mathematics,
right? But it's also basic mathematics to look at how many you've sold and go based off of that.
The other issue that I had with it, okay, so we put this whole thing aside that, if they didn't have the information, sure, I'll go with it. I'll be a devil's advocate and say, yeah, okay, they didn't have the fucking information. They had every chance to have an open beta to test their fucking servers, and they chose not to.
Okay, no, I give you that.
That was on them. They should have done that.
They fixed the issues.
I mean, people are still having issues today.
The servers are up, from what I can tell. But
people aren't having as many connection issues, but people are still having connection issues today.
The first,
if they have a really bad, it was like the first 4 days. It was like the first week. Going into the weekend, they had connection issues up until I think Sunday.
Yeah,
which was when they finally brought on talked. I can't remember what the excuse was, but they said that they were trying to pin it on their partners that they didn't have the correct information or they didn't have the correct server architecture or some bullshit.
I feel like it's never a bad thing to over prepare, and maybe they did.
Yeah. That's me.
Yeah, but server space is massively expensive. It's not cheap.
Like I said on your post for Twitter, like. I would personally, if I was going into this, and they're literally the only ARPG game that's out right now, right? Like the only other one is Path of Exile that just had their content release, so they're in a content drought until the next content release. Obviously, you've got Torchlight 3 that's coming out. I don't know when. I haven't fucking kept track of Torchlight 3, but it's not soon, as far as I know. So they're literally the only RPG that's out right now in a genre of starved gamers that have nothing and have had nothing for months since PoE, right? It just feels like, to me, you should really err on the side of excess rather than err on the side of caution.
Right.
Maybe they were waiting for that influx of initial gamer money to get the servers. They were hoping the servers would hold.
If that's what they were doing, then personally, I feel like they've incurred the wrath that they put themselves in the way of.
Yeah, I just
that it was just too rushed.
So the reason I don't think that it was that, Bill, is because looking at the amount of content that they dumped into the game after or post launch, right? So what we were getting. And I've said it, like we didn't have gym crafting, we didn't have, trading. There was no, like, the online servers were not there. I mean, you're right, Enigma, they could have done an open beta. And I think that was maybe,
it was a terrible decision.
A decision that they should have gone with. I'll give you that. I think that the stuff that they are incurring, though, when it comes to being out, like, trade issues, things of that nature, or whatever else, like, if a lot of people that I saw in the comments were just, one, let me get this out of the way now so I can just get this out of my fucking system. Fuck everybody on Twitter that thinks that they are fucking like like, I hate social media.
The internet warriors,
right? Like, you got, like, the internet literally is one of the worst places in the world when it comes to trying to
have a rational conversation,
right? Or give any kind of positivity anywhere, because you have an army of trolls and dicks that just decide that they want to come in and say whatever. And it's like, literally the comment that I made was just like, yo, continue pushing through, like, your game. You have a solid game here. I think that what you're doing is great. Like, push. And everybody was just like, you don't know what it is to develop a game, blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, do you insignificant little fuck, like, do you know what it is to develop a game? Like, cool, so let's.
My favorite part about that whole thing was when I rationally fucking outlined my issues with it to you in that post, right? And I brought up valid and legitimate concerns, valid and legitimate issues, and I had some douchebag like, oh well, looks like you really know a lot about developing a video game, don't you? I'm like, when did I ever say that? Right. I never said that in my post. Yeah. Well, I never said that anywhere. But I've been a part of the fucking franchise, and I've been in the fucking gaming community for a very long time to know a thing or two about fucking game releases.
Right. and like the comments, and let me just again say this to anybody that wants to post anywhere or have any kind of conversation with anybody ever: don't rub it into someone's face the amount of experience that you have or don't have in something, right? Because that just makes you look like a tool. Like, so many of those posts were like, well, I've developed and shipped games for multi-million-dollar, consoles and in the industry and whatever else. And I'm like, okay, like, congratulations. What did you do? Did you shrink wrap it? Like, I don't know. What did you pack it into a box? Did you code the game? I don't know what you did, but like, I can tell you right now, and there's no way in hell in 10 years I'd put my name stamped onto something, because there's, like I said, there's not really been a game out there that's released completely smooth. Like, and to say,
it
like,
all makes me think of the WoW, the last WoW expansion release where their servers were down for
well, classic WoW was fucking. The queue was stupid long. Do we have to talk about Diablo 3's launch? Like, like,
no, it's like I said. I completely agree with you. There isn't a launch out there for a game that's gone smoothly in a very long time, and very fucking long time.
And I think that, like, the other issues that are behind the game, like, people are just like, well, they shouldn't have had it in it. Well, okay, so let's just go down that rabbit hole for a second. If they don't have, let's just say they don't have online play. They don't have. Or not even online play. Let's say they have online play, but they don't have trading, or they don't have gym crafting, like, or I don't know, one of these things that people had issues with, right? Or a storage chest. The wrath that they would incur from not having it to then being like, oh, well, now we have it. People are gonna, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, the game's over. Like, it's done. Like, I would much rather have an issue of being like, oh, my trade system is bugged. I need to trade again with you. Like, okay, for whatever reason, it didn't work. Like, okay, cool. Like, we've run into issues where I've literally went into a portal, came back out, and there's some kind of invisible fucking wall in front of me that I have to, like, jump over. It's not been one of these things where I'm just like, oh my God, I paid $40 for this. But, like,
you've also only ran into the very minor bugs. Right. Like, I myself last night ran into an issue with the final boss where he got stuck and I couldn't damage him. I couldn't do any damage to him. He was invulnerable. So it basically stopped my progress from finishing the game on the last boss.
Right.
Okay, that brings back memories of Remnant.
Okay. There was also prior to that, I had to fucking juke my way through a portal because I couldn't click on the portal to get to the next area. So it's like very, very specific sections of the game that I'm like, yeah, I can understand why people are a little pissed. That bug should not be in there. It should have been tested. There should have been some form of testing for game breaking, progress halting bugs.
Right, but so here's my question, right? Play devil's advocate. If I go through the entire game and I don't have that issue, right? How do I know that it's a problem?
Again, testing.
Right, but even then, testing.
They literally had 5 years worth of testing.
Well, okay, they've not had 5 years worth of testing. The game is altered.
Even if they've only had 2 years worth of testing on this new branch.
Right, but come on, like
more testing.
Unless you're launching on a console,
should be fucking possible.
Unless you're launching on a console, we can all say that on a PC game release, it is extremely difficult to be able to develop and code for every single scenario that could possibly happen with every single thing. Like they could spend hours and hours and hours and hours. Like I don't think these guys just sat there, or guys and girls sat at their fucking computers and was just like, like, okay, cool, we're gonna launch it. Like I'm sure that they went through rigorous tests and rigorous things to try to make it. Like nobody wakes up and says I want to suck. Like nobody wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, I want my game to go down in Steam history as being the biggest flaming pile of dog shit ever.
The amount of hired people to game test for them.
The amount of bugs and issues that I have ran into in my how many hours have I had? Legitimately, I've had 44 hours worth of game time. Obviously, there's other people that have had more game time. I have a buddy right now, solid. He's got like 80 hours worth of game time in it. He didn't run into that many bugs, right? So it's on a case by case basis. Obviously, there is that argument with it, but legitimately, game breaking bugs, the whole progression in a game in 2020 should not be happening.
Let me maybe
I feel like 2020 is it's the norm at this point. I think they're trying to normalize
and see,
these kinds of launches, and that's
the issue that I run into. Yeah, that's and I said that on your Twitter post. That's what gets us companies like Bethesda.
Well, I think, but like Bethesda gotten to the point where they saw the Skyrim jank and how people like gravitated toward it as being like a amazing, funny meme kind of thing, and being like, oh, well, then let's all the games can be busted as fucking broken as hell, and people are just gonna find it fun or funny. Like
they got to a point, they got to a comfort point where it was like we can release anything to our gameplay or our player base as buggy as possible, as buggy as we want to, and they will eat it up because it's either Elder Scrolls, it's either Fallout, or they'll give the same fucking stupid fucking reasoning for anything that they always give. Oh, it's Bethesda, it's always buggy. Just wait a month, the modders will fix it. No, that we should not be as a gaming community. We should not be accepting that in 2020. Yeah, that is ridiculous.
I'm accepting of that.
Have to rely on modders to fix the devs' mistakes.
Yeah. I can give Wolcen a little bit of leeway because obviously, as you said, they're an indie development. Right. They're a development company that's only ran with like I don't know if it's 10 people, if it's 5 people. Don't really give a shit how many people they have. I can give a little bit of leeway, but when it comes down to game-breaking progress or game-breaking bugs that halt progress completely on the final fucking boss, I'm like millimeters away from finishing their fucking game.
Yeah, bro.
And I can't do it because of a game-breaking bug. That's fucked up to me.
Give me like 15 minutes with your rig, because it sounds like Enigma is the common issue here. It's not.
But it doesn't make any sense because my rig is better than Solid's rig.
Yeah, but you've done something. It's too much porn. I don't know what you've done on your thing, man. Like I don't know what you've got on your PC,
too much,
bro.
Too much of that hentai. Too much of that.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
just
I got you.
I
don't know. Like I said, it's just one of those things where I can see it from both sides, right? I can see it from the people that are like, people are making too big of a deal of this. I was originally making a bigger deal of the servers than probably should have been made a bigger deal of, right? I recognize that at this point, obviously servers are servers. You can't actually look and see how much of an impact your game is going to be. I'm kind of wishy-washy with that because I personally feel, again, you err on the side of excess rather than caution for me when it comes to these kinds of releases. But obviously, it's not my money. I'm not the one paying for the servers. So
I just hate the fact that we are in this culture of gamers that is gimme.
Pull the entitled gamer card.
No, it's just like gimme. But then when you get what you ask for, right, or you get this release and you're pressuring, then you're just like, well, that's just fucking broken.
Yeah,
it's like, well, okay, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, what do you?
We were talking about it a little bit the other day too. It's like the point, the ones that really piss me off, even if I agree with what they said or not, are the ones that fucking do the whole, I'm entitled to play the game after I purchased it.
God almighty, bro.
This and this and this and this and this, and like, yes, I mean, yeah, you are entitled to be able to play whatever game you purchased. The problem is that you were able to play the game, you just weren't able to play the game online. Like, the game is completely playable at any time.
Right.
You got your $30 worth of game time. It's just you didn't have it online.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I mean, it's just it's again, extremely frustrating because it's just like you weren't. Hi. Hello. My wife's coming into my room to look at stuff.
Mom, get out of here. We're doing a podcast.
Yeah, I can't right now, but I can when I'm done. Okay. I love you too. Nothing. We're in the middle of a show. We're in the middle of a podcast. So, you want to come say hi now that you interrupted the whole entire show? No? Okay.
So yeah, the biggest thing is, like, I can see it from both sides. You know, I in some cases I'm more of a lean towards, I do feel like they kind of got the kind of reaction that they deserved in some cases, but then in other cases I'm like, yeah, people overreacted on that, like the server issues. Obviously server issues are going to happen, there's no way to get around it. Yeah. I feel like there's some things that they could have done to eliminate those server issues, but again, it's not my money. I'm not the one paying for the servers.
And, I mean, this is the issue where you get into, like, the whole idea of content creators and pushing the content and pushing all of this stuff. You know, it really is a problem because, and I stand by, one of the reasons that WildStar died was because it had this idea of, we're going to put all of these players that are MMO players, but they're not necessarily the ones that would enjoy WildStar into it, and they trashed the shit out of it. 2 weeks after the game was done, right? And I've seen.
I mean, WildStar died also because the company didn't.
Right. I'm saying one of the things, like, not right. Like NCSoft twisted the knife on that one and slit that thing's throat. But it's the same thing here, where it concerns me to do this, where you have these content creators that are, just because they're diehard PoE fans does not mean that they're diehard, action RPG fans or whatever else, or they speak for the majority. And so when you release to these guys and they only play it until in game, and then they don't do anything more with it, or they don't see the game nurture or continue to grow or do more, then it becomes this, like, complete suckfest of nothing but just garbage. And the game really starts to take a hit. And to be 100% honest, like, that's where Tarkov was before it decided to do this drop system. Like, Tarkov was not anywhere close to where it was now. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I
don't know. That my biggest issue with the current state of games, with when it comes to, like, indie development and everything like that, is it's gone down a route. It's gone down the road of, like, we'll release it now, we'll update it over the next 2 years. Eventually, it'll be the game that you guys all want it to be, right? And it's like, no, I don't like that personally. I wish that we would just get the game that we were fucking promised from the beginning, and then they add on to it later with newer content rather than the content that they originally promised. It's just they didn't have it in release, right?
Yeah, I mean,
because there is a lot of stuff that Wolcen removed from the game. They removed housing, they removed character customization to an extent. They used to have a better character customization than they currently have. Now it's pretty dog shit. Like, honestly, it's from what they used to have.
But come on, how much are you gonna like? Do you really gonna build?
It's pretty dog shit from what they used to have, dude.
Great.
They used to have a fucking character customization system like fucking BDO.
Come on, bro. Who cares? You are putting armor on your character. You're never gonna see him ever again.
I agree, and that's not an issue with me. But the problem is that that's the way the route the games are going these days. Is they remove big time fucking things like that some people like. Just because you don't like it, Sin, doesn't mean that people don't want it.
Oh my god!
People bought Soul Calibur, the newest one, just for the character customizer because it's like one of the best character customizers out there right now.
Yeah,
so housing system, the fucking the biggest thing that people were a little pissed off about was the chaos forums or whatever they're called, right? When they first released the game, the chaos forums were originally supposed to be something that you built up over time, right? And now it's just like a selection system. You either select the angelic one, you either select the demonic one, the heavy demonic one, the light demonic one, or the caster one. It used to be to the point when they first released the game, it was originally brought out that you were going to be able to kind of like mix and match and make your own demonic form, basically your own chaos form.
I don't know. I mean, T-Mog is in the game. I think my wife is literally trying to like heat me out, bro. It's so fucking hot in my room right now. It is.
So
T-Mog is amazing.
Let's move. Well, yeah, I was about to say, let's move on to some of the stuff that like we do like in the game, because like you bring up T-Mog in that game is fucking amazing. I love it. Like they did a great job with the T-Mog, and maybe that's what they kind of did to kind of counteract the fact that they had to remove some of the character customization, right? Instead of having a huge robust character customization, they kind of split it down the middle. Now you have kind of a dinky, okay character customization with a fucking amazing transmog system. And that's, to me, that's a good trade-off. I'm not as big of an, the character customization being removed, I don't have as big of an issue with that, right?
It's definitely better than like other ARPGs out
other there. ARPGs for sure.
Dawn sucks. PoEs, you just have to freaking spend hella money.
I was actually gonna ask you guys as like a question, since I don't really play these kinds of games, how this game is compared to the big ones out there like Diablo. You all said Grim Dawn sucked, but I know a lot of you were playing that Path of Exile, stuff like that.
Customization, the cosmetics.
The T-Mog of it is not.
T-Mog and Grim Dawn was pretty
Grim Dawn
bad.
was a great game,
I will though, I'll point out again from what I was telling Sin when we kind of talked about that, though, we didn't get that far in Grim Dawn to see the end game character.
I've seen it.
No,
we're not saying Grim Dawn sucks. Let's make sure that this is Grim Dawn.
That was me misspeaking.
Grim Dawn does not suck.
Wasn't the best.
Grim Dawn's great.
Right.
Everybody calm down.
It's just the T-Mog system that's not good. And to be 100% honest, in games like this, and even like MMOs, for me, an important factor is the transmog system. I want my character to look badass. I'm going through all of this time to get this gear. I want them to look fucking amazing. Like, it's just the way it is. The more particle effects you add to armor, the more craziness you add to the armor sets, the more I'm going to be like, I need to go get this. Like, even if I don't use the armor, I need to go get it for a T-Mog. Like, it has to happen. So I think that, yes, the things that we like in a lot of ways, I think they've taken a lot of amazing things from all of the games that are out there, and really kind of picked and choose which ones they want to add as far as system bases. I love the skill system. Like, I think that it's really cool how it's got the Diablo style or Diablo 3 style where like you level it up and then you can, pick which runes you want to put into it. And this one is more of like you're putting points into different systems that completely change the, skills and the way that they function. I love the fact that you're not just given the skill right off the bat because you're a character type. You have to actually find them and level them up individually. It's a
cool feeling finding the skills too. Like it's rewarding finding new skills and like seeing them and stuff.
Yep.
Well, the best part about the skills is like, there's not a single skill that's not viable. Like, there's not a single skill in the game that you can't make work and synergize well with each other, right? Like there's certain skills that are less good, they're less synergizable than others. Well, less good, that was some great English, but there are some skills that aren't as great as others, but they still can be slotted into an actual build and made viable through like modifications and synergization with other skills, you know?
Well, I mean, even up to the point of yesterday, like I had a build that I was running from basically kind of 1 to roughly about 30, and then all of a sudden yesterday I decided to change my build into something completely different, and it now functions better. Like it's a thing that I think that they nailed very, very well, where like games like Grim Dawn do have an issue where you can tweak your build, but for the most part you pick 2 classes and you're stuck in those classes. And if you want to get out of that class or out of that style of play, you gotta fucking re-level a character.
So would you say this game has a better like theory crafting and stuff for builds?
For someone that enjoys theory crafting, I would say yes, because what?
Yes, I love theory crafting. So
like, I think that because of the way that you're able to just change stuff on the fly, you're also, unlike games like where it's hard for me to say that PoE does it the best, right? Because I think that PoE flaws in the way that they say like it's tied to their gem system and socket system, which I think is a really bad idea from a point of being like, once I get an item, I just want to stay with that item because that's my build, and it locks it that way. Whereas here it's more like, because of the Gates of Fate and because of the fact that you can rotate things around and move, like the Gates of Fate is basically 3 wheels that you can rotate and attach different things. And as you put points and build this track, they have to be able to attach kind of like a road, right? To be able to go and build it, but you can really kind of get some intricacies and cool shit in there. And then on top of the actual skill systems, you're able to just change the skills on the fly, add different things. I mean, I don't know. And then there's the weapons that also add a huge element to it, because like Enigma was saying yesterday to me on stream, you can find a weapon that will say, hey, cool.
You didn't believe me.
No. That's because of the way that you said it. But you you can find a weapon that basically will allow you to have sacred skills or to have abilities that are like occult skills, even though it's not a staff.
So certain skills can only be used with certain weapons. Like staffs can cast basically spells and sacred spells, right? Whereas like knives have certain things that they can do. And then you've got guns and all that shit, right? But there's certain equipment that has in the descriptions of them, they've got special abilities. Usually it's uniques. Usually, I don't think I've come across.
Is that like a legendary?
Yeah,
well, you have unique and
uniques
legendary.
Are unique. They're like specialty. Yeah, they're like specialty weapons or armor that have very specific things. Essentially they're like set items in Diablo 3, basically, right? So they've got certain things that they can do. Like I've got a shield that I need from my Crusader that allows me to cast sacred spells, but it's a shield
that which shouldn't have a staff.
Yeah, the normally either a staff or I forget what they're called, but they're like the little side catalysts. Yeah. So there's those, and it just allows for a very cool like sense of like character building and class building and everything like that. It's very, very fun. Personally, I find that a very enjoyable part of the game.
That's good, because honestly, I was getting worried I would only be stuck using the staff, but I wanted to use like a gun and have some spells too.
Well, you can use a gun and catalyst, so like you can
gun and a catalyst
and be able to do that. So, and that's the other thing too that I think is really cool is the way that they manage this. So, if you're familiar with action RPGs, like there is usually mana and health. And that's really about it. Like, yeah, you'll have like some characters will just be rage. Some characters will have like the demon hunter will have whatever. But in this, you have to manage your spells between rage and willpower. Rage. Yeah, rage and willpower. Yep.
And rage, yeah.
What's cool about that is that as you use a willpower skill, it transfers over to rage. And as you use a rage skill, it transfers back over to willpower. So like, if you're going like a hybrid build like I am, you're juggling the two back and forth to making sure that you're not overly doing too many willpower skills, but you're also not overly doing something, a lot like too many rage skills. So when it comes down to theory crafting, it really does give you some serious like abilities to really like go in and look at armor sets and look at builds and look at weapons and all of this kind of stuff. And so I don't know. I think they've nailed that. I think they did it really, really well. The story fucking sucks. The cinematic, like the actual look of it is really good. Like it looks beautiful. It's a beautiful fucking game.
Yeah, so I haven't missed out much on the story because I've skipped it.
Yeah, we were talking about it a little bit last night. Yeah. Like the story is kind of lackluster. I mean, you kind of expect it from ARPG games. I don't think there's been an ARPG game other than like Diablo.
That's the only. Oh,
that was like a decent fucking story.
Diablo 3, I only kind of paid attention to just because of cinematics.
Diablo 3, it was just kind of. That's about it. I didn't really enjoy it. Diablo 1's the only ARPG that's really captured me and been like, I think I need to watch this.
I think Grim Dawn had a good storyline to it. Grim Dawn's story. The problem was a lot of their side quests like were so fucking extra.
It was hard to follow, honestly. Right. It was extremely hard to follow.
All over the place, yeah.
But their main storyline, I think, was really good.
I did enjoy like some of their cinematics in that game. I don't know why they're minor, but when there was one, it was kind of cool to watch.
Yeah.
And that's what does make Wolcen a fun and enjoyable experience when it comes to the story. Is like story might be off-putting and kind of a boring in some cases, but it's like what you're watching is actually extremely detailed. Like it's very pretty looking. So it's like,
and the sounds
kind of
like I'm just saying, like when I'm shooting my ice thing, it goes
yeah,
and it's just like I don't know, it's almost satisfying.
No, of course. I mean, those are all again, all of that stuff plays into an action RPG. Differently than what like a shooter or anything like that. Like, yes, I want my shooters to be good. Yes, I want my card games to have, aesthetically like, Slay the Spire is aesthetically pleasing with the cell shadedness and things like that. But in an action RPG, to me, the T-Mog, the like quality of how things sound and function, like, and just watching shit explode, like I literally am running a plague burst build because I want my characters, I want the enemies to blow up into thousands of chunks. And I get like, it's just, I don't know. It's fun to me. Like, or seeing someone like watching Enigma come in and be like, dude, your guy's badass. And then watching him go off on characters. I'm like, I want to grow up to be like Papa Enigma. Like,
I got my AoE build, just drop a couple circles down, everything fucking dies.
So
it's really fun. They did a really good job with like the weight and the feel of spells and melee weapons and all that stuff. They did a really good job with it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna take that away from them. I do. Just as a closing remark, I do think that they had some stuff that they probably should have worked on a little bit more prior to release. I still stick to my statement that I don't think they were ready for release. I think they released because they needed the money. It's not a bad thing. Obviously, I understand. I just, to me, if I didn't have the game prior to them releasing, I probably wouldn't have purchased it personally.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm okay. I think it's like, it's okay. I'm okay with them releasing the game, and as long as they are going to continue to stand behind it.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. And I think that they've given themselves an opportunity to really do that. The game is open-ended enough to really make in-game a thing. Like,
well, we talked about it with Remnant, right? Like that was one of the biggest issues that I had with Remnant was like Remnant had so much promise. I was the biggest advocate of Remnant.
Yeah.
From the time that they fucking released to the time that I stopped playing it, right? The one thing that they got wrong was their content. Like they didn't have enough of it. They didn't have it on a timely schedule. It cracked me up when they brought out their first content drop. They were like, "Oh, it's a huge content drop. It's a whole new dungeon." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's cool. Like what do we get from it?" Well, you get one piece of equipment. You get an armor set. It's been 3 months since you fucking released, and literally you're giving me one armor set.
Yeah.
And a dungeon that takes 10 minutes to walk through.
We all beat that game in less than,
So that's one thing that I will always say to the day that I die is that like if you're gonna release a game, it definitely needs to be like the content needs to be there. Like you need to stay up on it. You need to stay up on updates. You need to stay up on content drops. It needs to be one of those things where you don't fuck around with it.
Bill, did you see my screw? No? Is that why you're laughing or no?
I saw that.
Sorry. I was like trying to clean something out of my keyboard. Actually, it's a space bar.
Yeah. I was flipping around all over the place. Scruff disappeared altogether.
Yeah.
We're a professional show here, guys.
You guys get to see the behind the scenes. Yeah. Guys, it's just
Wife's
do not say
in.
it's just a podcast. This is a serious serious profession, and anybody that doesn't take it seriously can go fuck themselves. No.
Right, and why are we not being paid right now for this?
Like
just sub.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Like, are we working for free right now?
So
oh goodness.
Obviously we can't name names, but anybody that obviously keeps up in the gaming culture knows exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, we always kind of end the shows with you know, some real world stuff that's going on.
Culture.
Yeah, gaming culture, things like that.
Real world news.
You know, and obviously there is a person that decided to go on this rant that has now taken, you know, over the social media platforms and the Twitterverse and things of that nature. You know, where he or she is spouting that if you don't take that, saying that the argument that this is a game and it's just a game, relax, and you shouldn't be toxic as fuck.
Have to be so mad.
Right? Yeah, you get fucking toxic. It's okay. You know, I don't know. So how do you guys feel about it? Like, you know, where do you guys stand on this? Like, they coin themselves to being like LeBron James or any other professional athlete. So.
Yeah,
I definitely don't think it compares that much.
Well, you know, some individuals have said in the past that it takes more skill to do what they do than, say, a field goal kicker, because they only have to perfect that one thing. So they shouldn't be allowed to mess up that one thing because it's literally just one thing. Whereas gaming, they have many different variables, and they're just much, much better than a field goal kicker as far as what they have to do for their job.
No, they say it's not okay. Or it's they're saying it's okay to be toxic, like to get mad and pissed off and angry, is what they're saying, chat.
Yeah, I don't know. Like straight from the start, when I read about this whole thing, I just kind of, honestly, I just kind of shook my head and I was like, apparently, you know, this person's not getting enough attention. You know, needs to kind of create some new
and it
some
works.
drama. Yeah, and it works. And we were talking about this the other day with me and Bill, where, you know, it's like good press, bad press, or good press. Like bad press is still press, right?
Yeah,
it's still attention. And I crack up every time because it's like, you know, you hear about the latest, you know, Twitch scandal, you hear about the latest, you know, scandal in the news, you hear about the latest scandal in politics. And 9 times out of 10, I can guarantee you, like half of that shit is just them trying to make headlines, trying to get those fucking, you know, headlines on the websites, get the clicks, get as many people looking at the website, looking at the content as possible, because that's cash money, baby, right in their hands.
Yeah, I mean, so from someone that, go ahead.
Good.
No, go ahead.
I've went into a big detail about it already, but yeah, it's just a publicity thing. And if you take the publicity aspect out of it, like just pretend like it's not there, even though I'm almost 90% sure that's the main reason why it happened in the first place, there is a give and take to that kind of a mindset, but it's all personality based. And to generalize what your personality type is onto the entire community, I think is wrong in general.
Yeah.
I mean, from someone that I live, eat, and breathe competitive games. I love competitive games. I always have. I always will. You know, the League of Legends matches, you know, even EFT, you know, is competitive. All of these competitive things that are out there, right? PvP, WildStar, PvP when it opens up in Wolcen. Like, I understand the mindset of being like, look, like if you're gonna go in to play the game. Like you played to win. I mean, that's the objective. Like, again,
play to win.
Yeah, like I don't know anybody that wakes up is just like, okay, well, this is 2020 and fucking meme culture. So yes, there is people that wake up that are just like, I'm gonna fucking screw everybody. But you don't wake up to just suck. Like, so you know, when you go in and play these games, and I think in a game like League, it holds a different precedence than a game like Fortnite or a game like PUBG or whatever else. Like, you know, especially for me, like Fortnite, I don't know. I look at that game and I'm just like, come on, like it's got fucking like it is built for 8-year-olds. It's built for kids. It's built for like it's an arcade. Yeah, exactly. It's an arcadey game, man. Like it's I have unlimited whatever grappling things.
What Brex hear you say that?
It's not doesn't change the fact that literally the game is centered around arcadey style play. Like so in that where there's so many different variables versus a game like League where it is very very team oriented based and very very like structured. You know, I get the toxicity, but it doesn't need to be a point where like you just that's what you live, eat, and breathe, right? Like there's been plenty of matches where me and Scruffy, I've been like, God fucking damn it, like this team, and I've raged, and it's yeah, I get it, but I'm never gonna then go onto Twitter and rant about being like it's not just a game, it's a lifestyle. Like, get out of here, like. You know, you're not a professional player. You're a professional streamer. Like you're like you're making streaming content, bro. You're not a competitive Fortnite player. You're not a competitive.
That exactly is the point. I think it's making content, and for the audience that these types of streamers bring to the table, they like that shit. They eat that shit up. They want to see somebody flip the fuck out and smash a controller. They love seeing Summit 1G punch his webcam and Dr. Disrespect slam his desk and yell
example.
Uninstall games and then reinstall them next stream.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of shit they eat up. That's the kind of stuff that's bringing in viewership. They have to be outlandish with that stuff, and it's all marketing. It's all marketing for themselves.
The thing is that sucks. That sucks for the industry that we are in. Like that sucks for what we do. Like I know right now that the four of us create content, and the majority of people that are in this stream right now, if you are a content creator, is there to build a positive community. And what I fucking can't stand is this talking out of both sides of your ass. Like you're going to sit here and say, oh, I'm here to build positivity. And I'm here. And again, without naming names, this particular person, you know, was like, used to be very like, i.e. kid friendly and was just all about like uplifting and taking the gaming culture to a new level. And then now is in this world of like, you know, he got his paycheck. They got their thing. Fuck the world, like, you know, watch it burn.
You didn't watch this guy back before he got the
I absolutely did. Yeah, I absolutely did.
Back during the rage face PUBG days?
Yeah, I absolutely did. Like, it's, you know, so...
I think this is just his true personality coming out, and he's able to market that.
That's what I was about to say.
Now that he's got the base, he's able to market how he actually is, which is a ragey, toxic individual for the most part.
Right, but you kind of come to a point where like when you're that high up in Twitch and then you move, it gets to a point where like when you were on Twitch was the one that was, you know, kind of holding you back and being like, you need to be a better, you know, you need to be a better role model because this is what we expect of you. But now that he's over, you know,
they hold them to a way higher standard than what Twitch holds over here.
I highly doubt that they hold him to a higher standard.
Maybe not him, but I'm just saying in general, their whole thing is about like love and peace and community and all this.
I've heard that for regular streamers over there, they definitely do, but I doubt. He
probably definitely has some sort of special privileges.
Yeah, he's probably got a fucking get out of jail free card for like every day. He's probably he could start dropping in bombs left and right and probably be just fine.
It just the thing about it that, and the point that I was kind of trying to make here was that. And shame on anybody that indulges that behavior. Like if you indulge, and this is where, like my kids will come up to me and be like, "Yo, look at this meme, look at this like rage video," and I'm like, I don't want to watch it. I don't care. I don't like meme culture. I hate it. And to be 100% honest, I can't stand it. Like I hate everything that there is about that type of culture. And to indulge and be like, you know, oh, I'm gonna watch someone like I don't watch Tyler One. I don't really watch Dr. Disrespect. Like I don't watch these characters and these people that indulge in this behavior of being very, very toxic, and that's the community that we want. Like I'm not gonna watch them. Like it's for me.
I remember back in my BDO days when I was playing that, there was a competitive guy that he streamed a lot, but he was exactly like Tyler One. Like he yelled constantly. There was no quiet for him. It was just a constant yelling. It was a constant rage, and there was a reason why he did that, was because he got a shit ton of viewers off that. Right? You look at him now, when he kind of gave up on that, because like I love when they say, you know, that this is you know, you should be able to be angry. Yes, you should be able to be angry while you're playing the games, right? But you shouldn't embrace that as like we're saying, like a lifestyle, because when it comes down to it,
you have to be angry.
yeah, when it comes down to it, like the guy that I'm talking about over there in BDO, he stopped because it was getting to a point where it was like unhealthy for him. You know, he started feeling like really bad about it. He started getting depressed. He started feeling like physically bad about it and stuff. And he dropped off the face of the fucking Twitch like that.
Yeah, but that's
right?
that's the problem. Like
that was it, Carl. Yeah,
we as a culture, like and say, like, yes, I know that Doc is a character, but at the same time, Doc isn't a character. Like, there is a certain point in method acting where it blends into who you are, right? And
you started adopting shit.
Right. You and method actors like Joaquin Phoenix, method actors like Heath Ledger, you know, the greats that have really like to embrace the Joker role. Like, it literally killed Heath Ledger. Like, on top of other things, like there's obviously
I was about to say,
there's other stuff in there, but like that type of style, like you start to become the character that you are. And the thing about it is that it is, and look, it may make me not popular amongst people, but the reality of it is that, to me, don't go out here and bitch about titty streamers if you're out there watching titty streamers. Don't go out there and bitch about toxicity if you're out there watching toxic streamers. Don't go out there and bitch about, you know, people that are taking your views, or you don't like what's happening on, you know, these people's streams, but yet you're out there watching, you know, some of these podcasts or some of these shows that are, you know, not in embracing that behavior. Like, be better, want better, act better, do better. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's frustrating to have so many people, even as a content creator and as people that are here that really are good content creators, to be like, I'm not saying like Thoughts or all of these streamers are the ones that are keeping me down. What sucks is that if you're not that type of person, then 9 times out of 10 your stream isn't going to be found. Like, because it's not entertaining not to watch someone be a toxic fuck on their channel. You know what I mean? Like, it sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks. Like, I think that there's, you know,
I think searchability on Twitch in general is more of a flaw on that aspect than the content itself. But
right, I'm not saying there's multiple reasons, and we talked about this, why Twitch is where it's at. I'm just saying that in the idea of what good content creation is, and maybe this is because I work in this industry and I see it every fucking day. Like, there's so many great streamers that I watch and that I work with that do not have the numbers anywhere close to where some of these other people do. And I'm looking at it going, these people are shit. Like, they're assholes. And you know what? You should be like Dr. Lupo. Dr. Lupo is one of the most genuine fucking people that I've ever met. I've met him multiple times. I've worked with him on multiple occasions. The dude is a genuine person. Model yourself after Dr. Lupo. You could be a toxic ass, but at least model yourself after this man. Like, I don't know. That's my sin rant for the fucking podcast.
And you know, coming back to the whole, you know, meme culture and toxic culture and stuff like that, you know, I think it does stem a lot from like sometimes from the games that you play, because like where this person comes from is Fortnite, right? It's legitimately built off a lot of meme culture, right? Like they've embraced meme culture to an extent where it's like that's their whole entire thing, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like, again, bad press is still press when you look at it. I think that he's doing this as a publicity stunt. I'm with you on that, Bill. And I just I don't know. It's going to work for him, you know, in the long run. It's going to work, unfortunately, and that's the worst part about it. Like, I don't think that.
What kind of sucks is, just speaking as like a gamer, not even just like a streamer, you know, seeing like these streamers play these games and stuff as a viewer, seeing them act like that is just ultimately going to make all their viewers act like that in a game, and it just ruins communities.
Oh no,
ruins communities of streams, games, anything.
How many times have we had to deal with people that have come into our channels, named or unnamed, that are subbed to named or unnamed channels?
Yeah,
you know, like,
they embrace that mentality,
right?
And they adopt it pretty much.
Yeah, well, but the difference there, chat of what we're talking about embracing memes is that Fortnite embraces the idea of boxing a character in and then trying to trap kill them, and it being like, to me, that is one of these things where it's like you're waxing and waning on the side of like almost bullying, like, you know, like I get it, but like when your whole thing is like you're just cat and mousing this person, like there's a point of it at a certain point where it's fine, but then when you get to a point where like, yeah, it's a creative kill, like it's still, you know, I don't know, it's, to me it's still a meme thing. It's still
imagine if that game had voice chat.
Yeah.
How bad that would
bro,
be.
imagine if EFT had voice chat. Oh my god.
I mean,
I think an open mic system would actually,
at people.
I think an open mic system would do wonders for EFT. I think they need it by the end of like the game's lifespan.
I don't know.
Maybe near the end, whenever their player base is dwindling, just hit the fuck it button, add the voice chat, and just let people go off.
What's that game with the killers and the survivors?
Oh, Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight. That would be so fucking funny to see a Dead by Daylight with a voice comes.
The only, so to me that game, I've been actually petitioning for that game to get proximity chat, but only when when the killer lifts and has the person on their back, like right, that's the only time that I feel like it should be a communication between the killer, because again at that point, like the most, like, you know, that the most toxic ass shit is going to be said and the most hilarious stuff is going to be said.
I just think it would be hilarious. I just think it would be hilarious to have the killer have proximity chat, and then like you said, like only have proximity chat from the survivors when the killers picked it up, so you'd have the killer going around like, here, piggy.
Yeah. No, that's I mean, we've already been on for an hour, almost, you know, pushing an hour and 45 minutes, so I don't want to go any further, but I like that game. I do want to talk about that game next week or next show, because that game has done some amazing stuff, and I think it's a really, really cool game. They've actually just launched new content, or about to launch new content into the full-blown thing. So cool. Well, I don't really have anything else to bring up and talk about. Is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we end the show?
I'm good.
I'm pretty good. I got some stuff I could probably bring up next week.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
I mean, look, I got time. I got nothing but time, so we can fucking make this bitch go on for 6 hours. I don't give a shit. What do you want to talk about?
Just to kind of go over some of the shit that's going on right now, like in Steam. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but this week the Hunt Showdown's got a free weekend, I think. So if anybody's looking to get that, I don't know if it's a free weekend or if they're on sale for 40% off. Let me check.
Well, I think Kingdom Under Fire 2 has got a free weekend.
That might have been it. Yeah, I know the Hunt Showdown's on sale. I've heard really good things about Hunt Showdown. I've heard some.
It's actually its player base has jumped in the last few months. It's actually holding like a pretty, like, it's still lowballing compared to a lot of the big games out there, but it's still a vast improvement from what they had last like 6 months ago.
That's a game to me that is content lacking. I played it, and I played.
Well, it's been a while since you played it, hasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's early. They've added some new abilities.
They've added new abilities. They've added new bosses, new monster types, new weapons.
Right. But I still, the crux of that game. Unfortunately, I think it's a really cool concept where you are. You know, you go in as a squad of 2 or 3, and you are fighting each other versus it's PvPvE.
It's like Tarkov but horror,
right? But the thing that I think you hit on earlier, Bill, is the
PvE is garbage,
right? Like
no
that
challenge.
That being a part of the game, like there's nothing there, so it's just kind of like, well. You know, what's the point of playing the character? Like there is permadeath when you die, you lose that character. You have to, you know, redo all that. So that's cool, great concepts, but it's still very content lacking. Like, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's too easy to track stuff. Like you said, the PvE aspect of it is just very, very simple. And it encourages a lot of like camping to just wait until someone has gotten the monster down to then go and just blow their head off and steal their loot. And
they've made that not as viable. That's something that they did actively work on before they did the full release. They give the people who get the buffs like massive bonuses over the other players. They basically get wall hacks, and if you have multiple people in your squad, each person I think gets 10 seconds of wall hacks that they can activate like sporadically. They can directly see where any of those campers are and basically just pre-fire them to death if they wanted to.
That's kind of bullshit, man.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of
but it's only 10 seconds. As soon as you use up all of your wall hack time, and you can't shoot while you're like doing your wall hacks. You have to turn your wall hacks on, turn it off, and then go into shoot mode.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, that game to me specifically, there's a good foundation and a good base there, but I still feel like they haven't found their core of what that game is. Like to me,
maybe it's going somewhere though.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's like the Five Nights at Freddy, the Friday the 13th to the Dead by Daylight. Like Dead by Daylight is a very like structured. This is the game. This is what we're doing. It's very deliberate. Where Friday the 13th tried to do it, but it was like very. They added all this other stuff, and it was just kind of weird, and I don't know. So yeah.
Also, another thing I wanted to talk about, and we're going to be talking about this more in the future because it's starting to get to the point where they're going to be starting to come down the pipeline. Did you guys see that? What's called Metro Exodus is on Steam now?
Yes,
it's on Steam.
Yeah, yep. They finally came up off their year exclusivity with Epic, and I'm curious to see how that went.
Well, they're dropping DLC with that too, right?
They're dropping a DLC with it. I guarantee you that they won't release numbers.
Oh, I'm sure.
Wait, so if they were exclusive with Epic, but they were on the Xbox Battle Pass also?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. That was the whole thing that kind of pissed, or that didn't piss people off. That people were like, "Oh, fuck, Xbox Battle Pass might actually be kind of a good deal." Mm-hmm. Is that was your way around the Epic Games?
And if I remember right, if you pre-ordered it on Steam, they still weren't like you still got the game on Steam if you pre-ordered it before the exclusivity deal.
They didn't.
No, I think you did. If you had a pre-order in before they, because I remember they had the last week because I was thinking about getting it. And they were saying that you only have like a week left to get it on Steam.
I don't know if that was into its 12 months. True. I thought that they went out.
I think I remember seeing a tweet thread whenever they released it on.
I thought I did too.
Steam that people were saying, "Yeah, I've been playing it since release." And
I could have sworn that there was this huge thing that came out that they were like you were refunded the money, but you were not allowed. They were not releasing on Steam. Like.
It might have been.
I'm almost 100% sure that they refunded any kind of purchases made on Steam because that was part of it. But again, don't quote me on it, but I almost want to say I'm 100% sure that was the case, for sure. But
it's gonna be either way. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens because with this now in the pipeline right now, I think the next one coming up is Borderlands 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Good old Borderlands.
So
coming off of EA's store.
Gotcha. I shouldn't have gotten it on release. I shouldn't have fed into it. I just expected it to be as smooth as Borderlands 2 and 1 were at launch, and of course it's not going to be because why would it be? That game was hot garbage on release.
Yeah.
Speaking of flawed releases, that was my heartache that has pushed me away from ever pre-ordering. Like, the only company I'll support on pre-orders anymore is From Software, and they have my heart and soul, and they can never hurt me.
CD Projekt Red, give it.
I guess talking about games too that are coming out are DLCs. Like you mentioned this, we talked a little bit about Division 2, but what do you guys think about the new Division DLC that's coming down the pipeline? Like, do you think that it's enough changes, or are we seeing the same situation that we saw in Division 1?
I think fundamentally... Go ahead.
I think the very same problems that Division 1 had are happening in Division 2 from what I've seen. the end game content's lacking, and they're just, I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're innovating at all compared to Division 1 as far as what their end game goals are.
Yeah. I think fundamentally, the one thing my buddy was talking about recently, because I've got two buddies that went back to it to kind of start playing it again, get familiar with it before the new release for the new DLC. The thing that he told me was like the reason why he kind of stopped playing Division 2 was not necessarily because of anything wrong with Division 2. Like he liked the added systems that they put into Division 2. It was the setting. He didn't like DC as much as he liked New York. So I think fundamentally you'll have some people that will go back to it because maybe they liked the New York aesthetic, you know?
Right.
Maybe they liked the darker, gringier, you know, kind of grimier area over DC, which was a lot cleaner. Wasn't as post-apocalyptic as the original one was, but I don't know. I've looked into it and I'm like, I'm looking at it and I'm just like, like coming off of Division 2, like again, like Billy said, you know, there's just not enough content. I think they're suffering from the same shit that Division 1 kind of suffered from. Was
I don't
not enough content.
I don't get why is it so hard to make Division what we were promised, like so long ago.
Because that would require them to go back and actually put effort into making it an MMO like they originally promised us.
Like I had someone.
This is Ubisoft that we're talking about. They're notorious for not wanting to put work into their games.
Like I feel the same way I feel about Anthem. Like with this, it's like I enjoyed Anthem
or
for
early Destiny 2, for that matter.
Yeah, I mean Destiny 2. I don't fault Destiny.
I'm talking like early, like before the break, before Bungie went free.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy Anthem. I enjoyed Anthem's playstyle. I enjoyed the world that I was.
The idea of Anthem.
Congratulations for being the 1%, Sin.
Yeah. Like I
enjoyed the idea of Anthem, and I enjoyed aspects of Anthem, but Anthem in itself was again not a complete game.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's
not done.
I think I guess the proper saying is and the same thing with Division. I see the nugget of what the game could possibly be, right? Yeah. And that excites me more than what the actual game does. You know, like the Division, playing the Division. I enjoyed the time that myself and Scruffy spent on it, and that, you know, we played around and we had a good time. But
it was good.
There was just not this draw to continue to do anything because
it got repetitive.
Yeah, well, honestly. That and there's no threat. Like in that game, there's really no threat. Like you don't have PvP elements. Like what I love about Tarkov so much is that fear moment of like, fuck, dude, I don't know what I'm stepping into, you know. And what we were promised with the Division was that, like, we were supposed to get like this battling over loot
shared,
and the dark zone or whatever, there still wasn't much threat even,
and there's still no reason to go to the dark zone. Like, you know,
that's another issue that's carried over from one is they made their PvP zone. No, there's no reason, like you said, there's no reason to go in there unless you're just wanting to fuck around.
And like not only is there no reason to go into the dark zone, but the people that were in the dark zone were like, at least early on in the game, were the people that were like, I wouldn't say hacking, I would say more exploiting. Like especially with Division 2, was the exploiters that hit like the day one grind, got everything done, and then it's like they went into the dark zone, and because they were exploiting, it still felt like they were like on the low end. So it's like you went into the dark zone at like level 5. And you're going up against people that are max gear score because they were able to take off gear outside of the dark zone and put gear back on inside the dark zone and kind of flex the system.
I remember in Division 1, all it took was simply changing a few config files to pretty much hack.
It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I'm with you. I wish that they would have just released it as an MMO. Like they originally designed it to be.
The whole crux of that entire game, everything that is that game, is like screams PvPvE. It screams it, man. And it's just like, why not Final Fantasy 14 this shit, destroy the fucking world, and be like, you know what? We're coming back, and all y'all bitches are on your own. Like,
I'm telling you, that's the reason why. It's because it's Ubisoft, and
Fuck me, man.
Ubisoft is notorious for recycling game formulas over and over until it stops making the money. They've done it with Assassin's Creed. They did it with The Division. They tried to do it with Wildlands into whatever the fuck their new release was.
I wanted that to be so good,
and
man.
The gamers are finally saying fuck you to it. The only thing that's making the money at this point is Siege, and they've delayed all of their games moving forward because they realized, oh shit, us recycling the shit again is gonna make us go bankrupt. Their stocks were plummeting because of their last two releases, The Division 2 and Breakpoint, I think is what it was called.
Yeah,
those were technically
game, didn't they?
Yeah, no, well, they haven't deleted. They pushed it back.
What game was it?
But
the Outbreak or the zombie
Rainbow Six Siege Outbreak.
It's, Outbreak. I thought you said Outfit. Yeah, I was like, that was a game that fucking released decades ago.
But see again, Outbreak recycled content.
It's taking a game mode.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and they're turning it into a full-blown game. It's all and like I said, Division 2 technically a flop money-wise. Breakpoint, huge flop. The last Assassin's Creed didn't do as well as they had hoped because it was basically Odyssey, but a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, what was the Egyptian one? Was that Odyssey?
I'm sorry. Odyssey was basically the Egyptian one, but a little bit different.
Yeah. See, I kind of differ on that. Like, I personally, I like the way the new Assassin's Creed went. Like Odyssey and Origin, I had a lot of fun with them. The problem that I had with Odyssey and Origin was their fucking use of Denova or whatever you want to call it. So they had a third-party anti-hack, anti-piracy program in there, which I talked about this with Monster Hunter World. Like Denova is notorious for boosting like CPU and GPU like 30%.
Ubisoft always, yeah. Siege has the same problem. I don't know if it's from the same program or whatnot, but there's actually bugs specifically with like NVIDIA graphics cards and stuff where it bottlenecks out your CPU by not pulling enough from that GPU source, and the new Assassin's Creed, I actually quite enjoyed it, but then again, I'm also a history buff and an ancient civilization buff, and I enjoy learning and playing games with like the ancient civilizations and like the pantheons and shit that they had with them. So that might be the reason why I enjoyed them. I do know that they were extremely buggy, and at least Origin, I think, wasn't looked on, or no, it was Odyssey that wasn't looked on favorably because of that. Or the previous Origin, it was just basically Origin reskinned into Greek, But I don't know. Personally, when I look at it, I'm like, I kind of like the new direction they're going. At least, like if they can keep it fresh and keep it new. The next one that they're coming out with, I've heard, is called Ragnarok, and it's like a Norse mythology, which I'm a huge Norse mythology buff. So
yeah, but I don't know, man.
That right there, I'm fucking for already.
My whole thing is like they need to just let the series rest. Like let the series be done. Like I would much rather them develop something brand new. Like again, like chat's saying, like Skull and Bones. Like you had a phenomenal thing that was in Assassin's Creed Black Flag that could have probably been a phenomenal game, and they just destroyed it because they're just like, it's going to take too much time to develop this. So we're not going to
money maker, man. They want most money, minimal effort.
Yeah, well, I mean I don't know, and that's why
did they stop development on Skull and Bones? I thought they just delayed it.
Nope, Skull and Bones is it's delayed inevitably.
Are you sure?
Yep.
I thought they just delayed it to 2020.
Nope, delayed inevitably is the terms that they are using, which that obviously means nothing. They could necessarily bring it back, but delayed inevitably was the last comment that was made.
That's too bad.
So that's why I put a lot of hopes and so much praise into indie devs. Like this game right here, Dead Cells, like phenomenal game. This game, and
indie game development companies, I think are going to be the future, because when you look at the current kind of trend of AAA studios, right, pretty much every one of them is dying.
Blizzard,
right? So
somebody banned him out of my chat.
Fucking a lot of other people are dying. Yeah, Blizzard, it's cool. And again, I have a hard time with saying that Blizzard is killing itself. It's not Blizzard anymore. It's Activision.
That's true.
Nobody from Blizzard works at Blizzard anymore. It's all Activision implants, right? So everybody that works at Blizzard has gone on to new things. They've gone on to new indie devs. And I'm looking forward to when they come out with their games, because that's going to take you back to the quality and what we were used to back when, like big companies like Blizzard or Ubisoft as a whole, or what's the company that made Anthem? I always forget their fucking name. BioWare, yeah, like BioWare is killing themselves just because of EA's influence, right? And their I think it was their CEO or their lead designer or whatever it was came out and said it the other day that like when he first started at BioWare, it was a dream job. Like, it was amazing. He would come into work, he would work with people that were influenced by what they wanted to create. They were pushing themselves forward, and by the end of his career there at BioWare, it was no longer a career, it was just a job. And right. that's a perfect fucking analogy for every fucking AAA studio these days. Well, it's no longer a career, it's no longer what I want to do, it's now just a job.
Think about it from the point of, look at what gaming was 10, 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, look at what the gaming, or not even 10, 15, I mean, go 20 years, go back where it, like, these companies, you wanted to become the AAA studio because you wanted to be able to get games out there, because that was the only way to do it, right? Like, you couldn't be an indie dev. It really, it was very, very, very difficult. And the goal was to become this AAA dev studio to then produce great content games. Well, then all of a sudden they got that taste of money and they go to shit, and we look at Activision, EA, Bethesda, which Bethesda used to never be that, right? Bethesda was not that one. You know what I mean? Like,
we started with me on Bethesda, man. We can literally have an entire show of just me bitching about Bethesda.
So like Capcom, Square Enix, like all of these companies, right, that were known for being these phenomenal companies, they now own the marketplace, and because of that, you get shit. Like, they don't care about anything. They care about money, and that's it. And they will rehash anything and everything they have to make sure that they are keeping their dollar and their stock market, their stock price happy. And as gamers, we're fucking sheep, dude. As gamers, we buy into it. We continue to do this shit over and over again. Like,
that's why I said, like I said, when we were on Twitter, that's the accepting the kind of shit that we're getting from game developers these days, indie or not. That's how we get Bethesda's. Right, like if we're just willing to kind of just roll over and be like, "Oh, spank me harder, daddy," that's how we get Bethesda. That's how we get Todd Howard, and it just works. Buy the fucking thing because we told you to, and it's a Fallout fucking universe. That's how we get that shit. Is when the gaming community in a whole just kind of accepts the bullshit the AAA companies and these indie companies are doing. Yeah. And luckily, indie companies, you don't see that a whole lot from indie companies because they actually have something to lose from releasing shit.
Yeah.
Whereas AAA companies, they're just like, they'll buy it because it's Bethesda, or they'll buy it because it's fucking Modern Warfare,
Right.
Well, even like companies like who's No Man's Sky? Who is the
Hello Games.
Yeah. Dude, I feel terrible for them, man. Like, because
I don't personally like again,
dude, Sony
down to the
Sony
fact that
shoved it down their throat.
Sony fucked them, but he went out there and said those lies on a daily fucking basis, knowing that they were incorrect.
I got a hot take on this one.
Yeah,
I don't genuinely think in the moment he was lying. I think he genuinely believed that was the vision. And they did make that vision happen. They just didn't make it happen on the time.
I have a hard time believing that he did not think he was lying when it was literally a week before release and he was telling people, "Is there going to be multiplayer? Yeah, there will be multiplayer."
There was. He wasn't lying. There was multiplayer.
There wasn't. Not on original release. There was no multiplayer.
Yes,
whatsoever.
That wasn't there
wasn't.
There was no actual multiplayer on original release. They patched it in fairly quickly.
No, they didn't. There was no multiplayer until the new update for the
wasn't it
this
Next or whatever?
Next. Yeah, No Man's Sky Next was the first iteration of multiplayer. Towards the end of No Man's Sky, they had a very basic no multiplayer, which was you could walk around and see an orb, and that meant that there was somebody there. Maybe.
I thought that their whole thing behind the multiplayer at launch was that you were able to discover. No, hold on, let me fucking finish. That you were able to go to a planet where someone had been and seen the stuff that they had maybe discovered or named or whatever else, and that was part of that game. That was in there.
His original words were like some of the interviews that he had was, "Am I going to be able to play with my friends? Am I going to be able to walk around and see them while I'm playing?" And he was like, "Yeah, you'll be able to do that." Now, yes, there was a very basic multiplayer with the discovery system, where it came down to like you would come into a system and be like, "Oh, dick butt 359 fucking discovered the system." Yeah, I guess you could call that a multiplayer.
Well, they also said that you'd have like a really like rare chance to see somebody else in your world or come across, and it was like
it was debunked by several. It was debunked by several streamers.
Two people were in fact like in the same exact space at the same exact time, and they like made document of it, but they were not able to see each other, even see whatever that orb thing was, or none of that was even there. So,
regardless, I
don't know.
I do think at least in the early interviews, he genuinely believed that was the vision for the game.
Maybe in the
that was
early interviews.
And then once you say it once, it's really hard to take that stuff back.
I mean,
especially
it is
from a guy that's he's not a guy that's trained in PR. He's a game programmer. He is a socially awkward individual, and I feel like that played a little bit into it as well. He didn't know how to handle a crowd poking him and pressing at him and wanting to pry as much info out of him as possible.
Right.
And that's one reason why I kind of do feel bad for at least Sean Murray when it comes down to it, is that I personally feel that he shouldn't have been pressured into being the spokesperson, even though he was the CEO and he was the lead developer.
Right.
He's the key right there is he's the lead developer. I have never met.
Did we lose Scruffy? Wait, is anybody else's screen frozen? On there he is. There he goes.
What I've never, like, I've met a couple, but most developers and most coders that I've ever met are extremely antisocial. They don't have very good social skills.
I just think, to me, like, it's a very good definition of how a company comes in and fucks over a game, and Sony completely fucked over Hello Games, like, in my opinion,
by putting them on a time crunch.
They
handled it as well as they could post-release. They went radio silent and just head to the grindstone. They worked that game until it met the vision that they went. It took them a very long time to get there.
Yeah.
But they went radio silent. They didn't instigate anything on any of their social medias. They just sat down, fixed the game, and then whenever they had something to show, that's when they started talking again. Yeah. And they re-won back most of that game.
No, they won me back. I go back and play it on an update basis. I actually want to go and re-download it right now because they just came out with another update that brought out like this.
The ship life or something.
Ship.
Yeah, organic.
Yeah. It's like an organic ship of some sort. I kind of want to check that out. And they've actually done a really good job. They've made it into I personally kind of like playing those games where it's like like Factorio, where you kind of set up your
like
factory
management
and make money. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's something relaxing about that I love. And they've definitely made like the base building and shit into that kind of a game where you can kind of make a factory
like in your ship.
Not I mean, you can make a factory inside of your ship if you have like one of the bigger ships. Gotcha. But yeah, like the planetary bases, they've made it so that you can make like a factory, autonomize it.
So would somebody technically be able to find that planet with your factory on it?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
There's actually
no PvP though, right?
There's no PvP, no, not that I know of. The last update they released it so that people can like go into the last update was the update that they released like a lot of the autonomy. Wow, I can't speak right now. Autonomization of shit. And there's a lot of people. There's like some content creators that have made like planets that people can go and just get like free shit. Like if you need money, go to my fucking factory on fucking dick butt planet 45. You can get all the money. you know,
good old dick butt.
Good old Dick Butt 45, man. He's a real champ.
Still working their updates too. They're trying. They're trying.
Star Citizen is their own fucking problem. That company is, I don't know. There's nobody that's bought in. There's no company that's forcing them to say the shit that they've been saying. That's just their own damn CEO and owner going in there, and I don't know, man. Like, if we ever get that game, I don't think it'll ever be anything close to what it's supposed to be. Ever.
I mean, it's got full persistence right now. You can go in and play it and do whatever they've got right now.
It's had full persistence for fucking 6 years.
No, it hasn't.
Oh my god. That game
they literally just added full persistence. Full persistence means that you can go in there, you can keep your ships, you can keep your fucking money. They haven't had that in there. It's always been a wipe.
That game is.
They've had it for at least 6 months now.
That game is run amok. It needs to be put down. Someone needs to. I don't know.
I know quite a few people who are enjoying
the
most recent update. They've made it so that it's.
Let's see, with that kind of an outlook on the game. How do you feel about Pantheon then? Because Pantheon's been in development just as long as they have.
Yeah, but there's a difference between it. Pantheon's not going.
What's the difference?
Because Pantheon's not going out there and promising fucking It's not literally saying, "Hey, go play my game and your penis will grow by 3 times the size it is now in girth and length." Like it's
so basically, you're telling me the difference is you like Pantheon and you don't like Star Citizen.
No, it's.
I'm just wondering where I can find that game.
The fact is that it's and we all know it. Like, at this point, Star Citizen is a joke amongst people because it literally has been said that it's going to be all of this thing. It's a first-person shooter. It's a single player. It's a multiplayer. It's a multiplayer, right? But at the same time, it's this space cowboy western fucking like. What do you mean? Okay, so when am I going to get to a point where it's no? When do I get to a point where this game is not something like? Is it a dating sim?
No.
How do you know? How do you know?
I mean, if you want to,
I think you're overgeneralizing.
Like, I'm just saying.
I mean, you could probably, if you want to go in and find Dick Butt 45 in there, you could probably ask him out on a date. Is that a dating sim?
The problem is that they continuously keep saying that it is. Hi.
You know, your boy just got the Fortnite solo dub.
That's great. Okay, goodbye. Anyway, it is a situation where that game has been, again, everything in the world is being promised to us, and I don't know if it's ever going to be able to ever come out or be delivered on the stuff that it is.
I mean, so far the only stuff right now that they haven't delivered on is the single player and the bigger star system. They've just added in persistence. They have one system that has like 12 planets that you can go into. And you can do trading, you can do first-person shooters, you can do missions, you can be a bounty hunter, you can go on and do all the shit. They've got it all in there.
Yeah, but isn't it supposed to be like where I can dock on someone else's ship and take them hostage and all this other kind of crap? And I don't know, man. Great. Well, hey, let me see it. Like, I want to see it because as it stands right now, like, I don't believe it, and I don't believe that it's going to work or function in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, but it is working and functioning right now.
I don't know.
Yeah,
you can literally go and watch
my buddy streaming it earlier today.
Okay, well then maybe I'll eat my words, but I still don't think that it's going to be able to deliver on everything that they say.
On another side of things, I will agree with you. It's taken a long time to release, and I think that that's hindering them right now. But the fact of the matter is, the only reason why you have a lot of those opinions is because people have been hitting it with hit pieces over the past few years because it's been taking too long. Yeah. And that's unfortunately that's the biggest word. The worst part of it.
I said the same thing about Pantheon. Pantheon needs to release.
Yeah,
they need to come out of darkness.
Yeah.
Like, it cannot continue going down this route of being, hey, we're only going to show you through CoCarnage's stream and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, it needs to come out and release because otherwise.
I completely agree with you. Yeah.
You know, it's
definitely one of those things where it's like between those two games, I think that Pantheon and Star Citizen are the two games that like. We're literally gonna be it like it's getting to a point right now where I'm gonna be too old to fucking play the game by the time the fucking game's release.
Oh my god, yeah, I don't know. and I don't think there's nothing else that's
like a 45-year-old man, like, oh my god, Star Citizen fucking just released, boys. Let's get the boys back together.
Bro, 45, really?
I mean,
really 45?
Game delays are pretty good. I mean, game delays right now are what we need for some games, but if it takes that long,
There's a difference between delay and fucking
exactly like
eternity.
It's just gonna go nowhere if it takes so long to get a game out.
I mean, at this point, Fortnite's still in early access. Like,
yeah,
I don't get that.
It still says early access on my son's Xbox. Like, it's the stupidest thing ever. But, well, no, is there because Doom's right around the corner, I think, right?
Yeah,
that's the next one
weeks.
Because we just got Final Fantasy got delayed, Cyberpunk got
Dying
delayed,
Light 2 got delayed,
Cyberpunk, Dying Light, yeah.
Yep. I think pretty much everything has gotten delayed.
Everything Ubisoft's putting out got delayed.
The Avengers game or whatever.
Yep, they got delayed. Nobody cares about Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is the stupidest game I've ever heard in my entire life.
You need to.
I'm pretty hyped about it. In all honesty.
love Animal Crossing.
I don't get it. I don't fucking get it.
I'm with Sid over here. You little shit Nintendo shits need to go and fucking play your
God.
Mario games and leave the big boy gaming down.
It's just a relaxing game. That's all it is.
Hey, you know what?
Just as an overarching, by the way, guys, that was a joke. I wasn't being serious. It's a meme. It's a meme on us. Nintendo fanboys, please don't start DMing me. It was a joke.
Yeah.
Look, all I'm saying is that I have a mortgage. I have a family I have to worry about. I have a job that I have, and I do not want to go into a game and play that again. Like, there's a reason I didn't. There's a reason you. Yeah, because I'm not a kid that doesn't have a life. Like, I'm not a kid that doesn't have things that I have to worry about.
Now you're just like making names for people who like the game. I mean, it's just a relaxing game to some people because they enjoy that. They enjoy having that kind of second life kind of thing where it's made up, it's fantasy. You're talking to fucking animals that are going meow, 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 meow. It's just a fun little game.
Yeah, man. I'm about it.
With that?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't fucking understand it.
Is that what they were doing?
Yeah,
I will.
That's how some of them sound.
I will never.
I mean,
dude, it's like the whole thing behind, like, what was the fucking little egg bullshit that was back in the 90s that you could fucking have the Tamagotchis. The same fucking shit, dude. I don't understand it. I don't get it, bro.
I'll tell you, I actually kind of get what you're saying, Sin, because it's like the trucking simulators that are out there, like American Truck Simulator. Mm-hmm. That's what I did for a living, and when it first came out, my brother was like, "Dude, we should buy that," and I'm like, "Why would you want to literally drive to California, spend 4 days over there, come back?" Drive back to California virtually, just to do it all over again.
Dude, I would pay to never have to go to California, like virtually or not virtually. I don't know. I don't
get it. I'm just saying you don't gotta shame people for liking that sort of thing.
I'm not shaming them. I'm just saying I don't fucking stand it. You are little
kids with no jobs.
You. Hey, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Take this down a minute, man.
Hold on 1 second. No. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Let me just. I'm gonna throw the low blow out here, right?
Just jokes.
To the two people in the channel that have said something, right? The one that is on stream right now or in chat with I'll let their name be anonymous. And to you, do you have a job right now?
Well, isn't
whoa. Okay, so the answer is no. And to the person that's in chat, no, you don't either. So
I had a job.
Well,
all right. Building fucking tanks and welding tanks. So
let's reel it back in.
Let's reel it back in. I think it's about time.
I think it's closing.
Yeah. I'm getting a little heated here over animals.
This is almost like the Scruffy's mom incident from a few fucking podcasts back. We need to carry this back.
Look,
in,
you're
man.
completely fine if you guys don't have jobs. It's okay. I understand.
Yeah,
have your Animal Crossing life and do whatever it is to do there. Let the real.
I love the shit out of Animal Crossing and my job. I don't give a fuck.
Let the real adulting go to the adults.
Oh yeah, Bill.
So, anyway,
Bill, give us a good name.
I'm not saying anything about
Snickers.
Animal Crossing.
All right.
I'm not saying anything bad about anybody that plays Animal Crossing. I'm just saying I don't understand the game.
You can't just say that and say that we're kids who have no jobs.
Reeling it back in.
Reeling it back in.
Casting the line. We're reeling it back in.
I'm not saying anything bad, but
I'm not
crazy into the podcast, man. We were
not.
supposed to do this like an hour ago.
Saying that I don't understand the point of it.
I'm sorry.
That's it. If you enjoy Animal Crossing, great on you. I'm happy that you enjoy Animal Crossing. I don't understand it because
leave it at that.
I just don't get it.
That's fine.
I don't want to redo my life in a video game. So,
hi boys. That was the podcast.
So what you got going on these next few weeks?
What do I have? Probably leveling Wolcen. I do want to play a little bit. I've got to play a little bit of League. I do want to check out the new Dead Cell content because they launched.
I wanted to touch on that today, but we can talk about that next podcast.
Because they launched
because I haven't gotten any hands-on time with it yet.
It's Bad Seed, right? That was the new one.
Yeah.
Bad Seed, yeah. I want to touch on that, and then probably play a little bit of Tarkov. How about yourself?
I have been. I'm gonna continue playing Slay the Spire. I want to get everything unlocked for that. Get a few successful runs and maybe check out the mods and stuff. And I'm really excited going into the year 5 content for Siege. I think I'm gonna really enjoy the new operators, and I'm really looking forward to what that game's throwing out. So that's what's to be expected from me. YouTube's back up and running, so I'm trying to get those videos pumped out. So
how about you,
Scruff? I don't have enough room to put your YouTube above you, Billy. I'm sorry.
It's all good, my dude. It's all good.
I'm probably going to be playing more Tarkov, playing a little bit of that. I'll play probably more Wolcen too, get a little bit more into that with Yasin and Enigma. Other than that, not too much. I mean, I could always start a second life in Animal Crossing, but...
We ended... Somebody get on him for starting this shit back up, bro.
Wait, what? I don't even have a Switch. I'm not going to get into that.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
Anyways,
Enigma, what about you?
No, just Wolcen it up.
I'm gonna put my mouse on your face so nobody so you can do it.
Wolcen it up. We got my boys wanted me to get Planetfall. What is it? Age of Wonders, Planetfall. So we've been messing around with that a little bit. So probably be playing that a little bit. Other than that, Wolcen, Monster Hunter World. Nice. Like I said, I might actually go and check out the new update for No Man's Sky. So that'll probably be downloaded tonight.
That'll be good podcast material for next podcast.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, on that note, oh fuck, I don't have outro music queued up. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. Let me get some outro music queued.
Oh my god.
Hey Scruffy, how about that Tom Nook?
Oh my god.
Tom Nook.
All right. Goodbye. We're done. It's done. It's over. We're out. Bye, guys.
This is how legends are made.